guys, so I'm here today to do my TBR video for the Queer Lit Readathon. This is a bi-annual readathon which I participated in for the first time last autumn or winter and adored. It's one of my favourite readathons. I vlogged the whole experience and I had so much fun that week. So as soon as I saw that the readathon was back and in Pride Month, I knew I had to participate again. It is running from the 2nd to the 8th of June and obviously the intention is to read books with queer authors, themes, characters, etc, etc. And there is also a bingo board with lots of different challenges, so if you want to be more specific about the books you're reading, you can obviously try and tick off the challenges. And last time I didn't, because I didn't realise the readathon was running until quite soon before it started. This time I've had a little bit more time to prepare and I'm going to try and tick off all of the bingo chart. But I'm not going to read 12 books because I think that's how many challenges there are, because that's just not gonna happen. But I'm gonna double up on some of the challenges and see if I can, tick off as many as possible. So I might also try and vlog the readathon. Let me know if that's something you'd be interested in watching again. But without further ado, I'm going to jump into my TBR and let you know what challenges each book ticks off. So the first challenge is to read a book in which you see yourself. That can be a character that shares a similar sexuality or gender identity to you, or it could just be that they have the same hobby as you. I decided to go for sexuality just because that's something I think is important, and for that I'm going to read The Queen of Eiflaria, and this is by Effie Calvin. It's the first in the Tales of Inthia book series. It's a fantasy book series that I saw recommended on Goodreads and thought I would check out because the protagonist is bisexual. I don't know if they use the word bisexual. I read the first few pages and I don't know if they use the word bisexual in this world, because I think most people in this fantasy world are happy to fall in love with and marry people of either gender. But that is the sexuality that I identify with, so I thought it would be nice to read a book like that, and it would be nice to read a book where the sexuality in this fantasy world isn't the dramatic plot point. It's not forbidden, it's in fact encouraged. However, it's a little bit different because our main character is a princess from a distant land who is meant to be coming to this kingdom to marry their prince. However, the prince has been killed and they still want this alliance to go through, so instead she agrees to marry the princess of this land, so the younger sister of this prince. And I'm really intrigued by this one. The next challenge is then to read the group read. So the group read is We Set the Dark on Fire by Taylor K. Mejia, and the intention of this one is that obviously there's a book that everybody can read if they want to, so that you kind of have like a big buddy read going on throughout the readathon. And luckily this book is currently on Scribd on audiobook, so it was already accessible to me because that's a subscription service that I subscribe to. I believe this one is a mixture of dystopian and fantasy. It's a young adult novel and it's set in a world where women are trained to fulfill one of either two roles, either to bear the children in a marriage or to sort of run the household, and every man has two wives, and I believe we follow characters training to fulfill these roles. Naturally as well there will be some sort of LGBTQ plus element that I don't know ahead of time what it is, but since this is the buddy read I would like to try and read it because last time I really enjoyed the buddy read. That was Girls of Paper and Fire by Natasha Ngan, so I'm hoping to enjoy this one just as much. The next challenge is the easiest one, and that is rainbow cover. So read a book with a colour of the rainbow in it. I don't think that's going to be a problem. I've got lots of purples and blues and oranges in here, various other colours and different book covers. So I've not picked a specific book for that, but I'm not really worried about ticking it off. Then there is a blank box, so a bingo square where you can pick the challenge you set yourself to give you the opportunity to kind of diversify your reading. And I decided based on what was and what wasn't already on the bingo chart, I would like to challenge myself to read a book with a character on the ace spectrum. So for this I'm going to read Sawkill Girls. This is a young adult thriller. I don't know if it's got a paranormal aspect or not. It's just one that I've seen floating around a lot and often mentioned that the protagonist is asexual in. So the audiobook for that is on Scribd, and I figured, hey, this is a perfect opportunity to finally read it. I love me a young adult thriller, so I'm all there for that. We then have to read an Own Voices book. Not really terribly worried about this either. I know quite a few of the books on my TBR are written by Own Voices authors. But we then have read a non-fiction book, and for this I want to read Trans, a memoir. So I've reserved a copy of this at my library, so I don't have it yet, but I'm going to go pick it up maybe tomorrow or the next day. And this is a non-fiction book written by a trans woman about her journey you know, I guess like coming to terms with her identity and transitioning and other people's reactions to her. I've heard really great things about it. I've been meaning to pick it up from my library, so I thought this was the perfect opportunity to do so. We then have new to you author. Fine, again, most of the books on this TBR, if not all of them, are new to me. Yes, I believe all of these authors I have not read before, so again, absolutely fine. Then we have to read a book with a disabled main character, and for this I'm currently planning on reading A Study in Honour, which is a science fiction retelling of Sherlock Holmes where Dr. Watson has a prosthetic arm. So when I was asking for recommendations of disabled main characters in Queer Lit, this one came up as a recommendation, and I've been planning on listening to it on Scribd anyway because it's short, love Sherlock Holmes, love a female retelling, if I didn't mention that. Both Dr. Watson and Sherlock Holmes are women in this science fiction reimagining. All there for all of those things, and like people mentioned on Twitter, there is a disabled main character. Although I would really be open to more recommendations in this category because it's something that I found a little bit more difficult to find books that fall into, or just books that I know going into them they include a disabled main character. Sometimes I find this with Queer Lit as well. It's not marketed in a way that you know this beforehand, which I find frustrating because it makes it more difficult to pick these things up intentionally if you're looking for them. But please recommend me some more books that would tick this box if you have some. And then we have the One Bingo chart board that I don't have a book for, so I need your recommendations, and that is a translated book. I currently don't have a book on my shelves or that I'm currently aware of that is queer and translated, so please, please, please let me know your recommendations, and hopefully I can find a copy on Scribd or in my library during the readathon. We then have a graphic novel, and this is another book I've reserved for my library, and it is Aquacorn Cove. This is a middle grade graphic novel that I don't know huge amounts about plot wise, but it looks stunning. The illustrations just look absolutely gorgeous. It's like a kind of like surreal, fantastical, set in our world, but with aquacorns, which I think is like a water unicorn, and it looks so cute and so lovely, and I hadn't realised until recently that it was queer until I saw it engage the word bookshop, so I'm really, really excited to read this one during the readathon. We then have a author or main character who's a person of colour. I believe that We Set the Dark on Fire who would work for this, but I really, really want to read for this The Gilda Stories by Jill Gomez, which has a woman of colour as its author and one of its main characters, and I actually started this during the last Queer Lit readathon, but I started reading it on my phone as it was on the Scribd app, and I cannot read books unless they're super short on my phone. I hate it. I hate the experience, so I gave up trying to do that, although I did manage to read the first 30 pages, so I marked my place in this physical copy that I picked up, and I'm really, really excited to actually read it because it was very, very intriguing. This is a 1990s novel about lesbian vampires during slavery era America, and it just sounds brilliant. I'm so excited for it. We also have a book with a trans author or main character, and again I'm reading trans and memoir, so this would fulfill that category. I do have another book on my shelves up here called The City in the Middle of the Night by Charlie Jane Anders, who's a trans author, but just realistically, how many books am I going to read in the week? Probably not 12, so I'm planning on using trans and memoir for this challenge as well, unless I really find myself drawn to this during the week. We then have a middle grade book for this, again, Aquacorn Cove ticks the box, so that will be the book I'm reading for that. Then we have historical fiction, and for this I plan on reading Fingersmith, which again I started last year, I believe it was, and was enjoying. I've read 100 pages, but it's a big book. It's a historical fiction book set in Victorian England, and it's inspired in part by Oliver Twist by Charles Dickens, but it does have a queer female main character in it, and I was really enjoying it, and I'd like to return to it again, so I want this to be the opportunity for me to read it, and it would also tick off the category of book recommendation. So for that you are to read a book that was recommended to you, particularly if it's recommended by one of the hosts of the readathon. So there are 3 booktubers currently hosting this year whose channels I'll all link down below, and in one of her recent queer book recommendations videos, one of the hosts, Yvette, recommended Fingersmith, so I was like, perfect, that means this book will tick off 2 challenges I am here. Although there are various books I could read for this if I wanted to stray further out. And then lastly, sci-fi or fantasy book. We know that's not a problem. Quite a few of the books I've mentioned already have been science fiction or fantasy. So, presuming I can get a recommendation of a good translated queer book, preferably a novella or something short, just because a few of these books are a little bit chunky, I will be able to tick off all the bingo charts, so I'm hoping I can do that. I love this readathon so much. I'm so excited to participate again. I will be sharing lots of stuff and updates on Twitter, and then maybe doing a vlog if I have an opportunity to do that. Also, of course, check out the hosts down below. They are fantastic, fantastic booktubers. I love that they put together this readathon. Just so here for it. Would love to know what you're planning on reading if you're participating, or just generally some of your favourite LGBTQ plus literature. But until next time, happy reading, and I'll see you all again soon. Bye guys!